And hello, everyone. Welcome to race number 2 of the 2021 Windshield Deep Racing League season, live here from the virtual Bristol Motor Speedway for the Sim Center 150 laps around Bristol. Glad you guys can hang out with us tonight. My name is Sean Butler, joined alongside with Kevin McAdams, Rich Kosla in the booth tonight, and we are excited to bring you all the action live from Bristol Motor Speedway. And Kevin, if any indication, or last week was any indication of how this thing is going to go, we have a couple of things. We could either be, pure chaos as it always is, or we could probably have some great side-by-side racing. But how do you think tonight is going to fare?
Well, Sean, there are two things that are always a constant in Windshield Deep, and that is chaos, short tracks. And we're at both. We're at Bristol, and I think both are going to happen tonight, and in a big way. Bristol has been probably the best track in both seasons here at Windshield Deep, and this third race here at the Bristol Motor Speedway under the lights, I believe, for the first time. And I think that's going to rev the chaos meter up another notch. So I'm really excited for tonight, and I'm looking to see if these guys can put on a show for us.
Absolutely. So field is gridding up now in the pits. What do you see? We go down the starting grid. 35 cars set to roll off tonight. And you can follow along on the left side of your screen there. But on the pole tonight, the 9 of Grayson Ward with a time of 15.171 gets it done. Andy Trupiano, defending series champion, alongside. Row number 2 sees the 18 of Casey Pierce and the 77 of Dylan Wilson. Row 3 is the 23 of Matt Light and the 61 of Dominic Corelli. Row 4 sees the 19 of Ethan Tingler and Oliver Cordell in the 8th position. Row 5 is the 07 of Seth Harrelson and the 8 of Talon Pelfrey.
Spencer Dickinson rolls off 11th. Blake Reynolds, he leads his first start of the year, rolling off 12th. Landon Huffman, 13th. Cameron Bolin, 14th. Brian Smith starts 15th. Eric Wilson in 16th position. Starting in the 9th row, Davey Davis in that bottom split machine. And in 18th, Dexter Knipe Jr. Lance Ripka in 19th. And Chris Davis in 20th.
Mason Maggio 21st, Cody DeMarmos 22nd, Matt Kingsbury rolls off 23rd, Jake Hayes 24th, Jack Bailey 25th, Ricky Harden in 26th, and the last car, well, I should say the slowest of the qualifiers tonight, Josh Stark in the 32 rolls off 27th. Provisional starters, Brett Punkari, Daryl McKee, Derek Nickel, Josh Caudle, Drew Cox, Lee Norton, Mike Effner, Kevin Light, and Max Price will be the rounding out of the field. Now, something that is interesting. So I should say the top 3 finishers from last week are all starting in the back tonight. So we have Casey Pierce going back there, and they're all wrecking during the pace lap. So that's a good start. So Landon Huffman, Casey Pierce, and it looks like Oliver Cordell will be starting in the back tonight because they were the top 3 from last week's race. So be sure to watch for them coming through the field, as the field looks like they're coming down to the 1 to go signal. So we usually do this, but Kevin, who you liking to take the W home tonight?
I'm surprised he didn't really put on that good of a showing. I think just due to being involved in a bunch of wrecks. But Andy Trupiano starts second. I expect him to win tonight. I think he's got to get back on the saddle and get that consistency going. But first and foremost, I think he needs to build momentum. I'm going to give Andy my pick.
Well, I mean, I think I have an obvious one. I mean, you can't really bet against Blake Reynolds. He claims he's not very good in these cars, but he's pretty much good in everything he drives. So watch for that 66 to make his way up through the field. But as we see here, the pace car is about to duck off. It's going to be Grayson Ward and Andy Trupiano leading him down. And we are set for 150 laps here at Bristol for the Sim Center 150. We are green here at Bristol. Great start for Grayson Ward. Andy Trupiano is going to fall into second. And it looks like Dylan Wilson is going to fall to third. First battle is going to be between Dominic Corelli and Ethan Tingler off of 2, but they get sorted out and pretty much single file for the first couple spots as they make their way to complete lap number 1.
Couple newcomers here at the front room. Here in a wreck, I believe Oliver Cordell was involved in that. Let's look at the back. Brett Punkari saying there's a bunch of cars in front of him. Number 32 is around. That's going to be Josh Stark. We'll have to get a replay and see what happened. But one thing that we saw last week, wrecks early and often in the back, Sean. And I believe that happened here. 35th position looks like Stark is now, but we'll see where he was.
Looks like
right before it. Oh.
It looks like the 2 of Jack Bailey just turns the 24 of Cody DeMarmos going into turn 3, we'll see here. So if we can go a little further back, it does look like that's how it starts. So as they go into 3, watch the 2, the black car right there just comes right up and just turns the 24, and then it was pretty much on from there. So definitely not how you want to see this race starting, but it's Bristol, so I mean that's what you got to expect. But nonetheless, Kevin, first caution in the books, and we're not even past 5 laps yet.
Yeah, and it's going to be interesting to see. We saw last week how the tire strategy played out, and you got to think about these cautions. And I bring it up every week. It seems like whoever plays the tire strategy the best often wins these races. We've seen Cody Kelly time and time again. By the way, he is not here tonight. Must be doing something more legitimate, like real racing at a short track. He's one of the best in the Southeast, it seems, if we refer to these. But it's going to be really, really intriguing to see who plays the strategy right. And we saw last week how important it was.
Definitely. So working caution at number 1, Jack Bailey says he claims the wreck in the chat, so he'll most likely be sent to the back. And we're working our first caution here at Bristol. So we got a couple laps of the green. We'll go ahead and step aside for just a quick second, and we'll get everything all reset and ready to go here. But don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with more action here live from Bristol.
Try to get mad, everybody want to keep up, but you know I move too fast, I'ma zip right past, drip all on my swag, why you trying to size me up, you don't want to try your luck, how does it stove, what did you know, burn like coal, yeah, you know I go, way too hot, yeah, really too cold, I'ma keep going till I hit my goal, better get back when I'm in my zone, do it for the ones that I know back home, did it myself, they ain't put me on, don't you go back if you hear that zone, watch me.
And welcome back to Bristol here for the Sim Center 150 for the Windshield Deep Racing League. Sean Butler, Kevin McAdams, Rich Kosla joining you here tonight on the call. So we got our first caution in the books. We're getting ready to go back to green flag racing here as Grayson Ward, our pole sitter, and Andy Trupiano, 2-time series champion, ready to set him down again. Pace car is off, and a great start for Grayson Ward coming across the start-finish line. They're going to be side by side for second. Trupiano's got the preferred line on the top, and he's going to go ahead and complete the pass on Dylan Wilson as here comes Matt Light, and they are single file for the first about 6 spots. Got to go back to, I believe, the 07 and 66 of Blake Reynolds, fighting currently for 7th.
Grayson Ward, the short track ace, already pulls out to about a 7/10 of a second lead. Meanwhile, first battle for position is going to be in that second spot.
Oh, we're going to crash again. Oh, we got one in the pit barrels on the back straightaway. I can't really see who that is.
No caution yet. That is the number.
That's the 68 of Brian Smith.
Yeah, Brian Smith. He gets it back going, so no caution. Meanwhile, back up front, Matt Light started 5th. He's not normally a fast guy in this league. He's looking to show us otherwise, as he is all over the back of the number 9 machine of Grayson Ward, and he's hungry for that lead position.
Something else to point out too in this league, there are tire limits in these cars. So the drivers have the tires they start the race on, and they have 2 additional sets in the pits, and they have to make those last 150 laps we have set to make up the distance of this race. So a little bit of strategy comes into this league. Again, if you're new to it, tire set limits provide a little bit of different strategy, so guys can come in, get those tires early, or they can choose to take them later, and that's going to add a little bit of a curveball into this thing. But right now, Matt Light and Grayson Ward are your 2 leaders. Andy Trupiano sitting there leading a pack of 4 cars with Dylan Wilson, Dominic Corelli, and Talon Pelfrey. Everyone is pretty much single filed out, so we might be getting a green flag run here, Kevin.
Yeah, and I think what's going to happen here, you've seen everyone running that low line. That low line does save tires compared to the high line. High line is definitely the faster way around here at Bristol with the higher banking. But if you run that low line, it seems to keep the tires cooler, and it seems to keep the wear in it longer. And we're going to have to see if that, as this race plays out and as the run plays out, who's going to be running the bottom the longest. And that will probably pay dividends as to making spots up later into the race as Matt Light sends it into turn 1, sorry, underneath the number 9 machine of Grayson Ward. Currently has led every lap thus far as we work lap 15.
So it's looking like the only cars I've really seen that are trying to work that bottom is either 7 of Andy Trupiano, the 3rd car in line there, the lowest car there. Leader Grayson Ward is starting to as well. But as Kevin said, that saves your right front a lot more. It keeps the tires cooler. in iRacing than if you have it running higher. So we're going to see over the long period of the run if that'll benefit Andy Trupiano and Grayson Ward. But right now, I think Grayson is in a bit of a pickle. He wants to save tires, but he also wants to keep the lead. And Matt Light is keeping that pressure applied as he still looks low in 3 and 4.
I want to take a quick look back. There was an absolute gaggle from 11th on back. It was a little bit more erratic before now, but Spencer Dickinson, I think, is trying to employ that tire save strategy. He absolutely stacked up the field. He's fallen back all the way to the 19th position after starting in 11th. So we're going to have to see if Spencer Dickinson is doing just that as far as saving tires. But he absolutely stacked up this field. And after that, I think they're going to settle out. And I believe the top 19 is now single file, Sean. So going to be interesting to see as the leaders are already starting to catch lap traffic. They're about 2 seconds behind Ricky Harden, who is currently in the 33rd position. Going to be interesting to see just how quickly these lap cars become a threat as far as track position goes, and if these guys can continue to save tires as they pass them.
Yeah, we've seen a bunch of drivers come from the back to the front in these, and most notably, if you guys prefer going from the front to the back in an effort to save tires, you know, a guy that I can look at right now is the 17 of Oliver Cordell. He started 8th. He's currently in 20th.
Well, he started in the back because of the top 3. Remember that?
That is correct, too. So we did have that new rule come into play, but he's one of the guys that are looking to make their way up to the front. But guys that are coming up through the field, you can look at the 64 of Mason Maggio. He started 21st. He's currently in 9th. So a big drive up in the field so far for Mason. But how are those tires going to fare at the end of this run? So that remains to be seen. But up front here, still nothing really changing. Grayson Ward has put a little bit of distance on Matt Light. Andy Trupiano, Dylan Wilson, and Dominic Corelli make up the top 5 in that little pack. And Talon Pelfrey in the 8 car behind these guys is kind of clinging on there. He's running the low side trying to save tires as it looks like they're catching the tail end of the field very shortly, as we see just ahead of our leader, Ricky Harden, in the 15 going into turn 1. He looks like he's going to be the first car lapped under green.
Yeah, Ricky Harden had a very great effort despite taking no extra tires last week. Finished in the top 6, finished in the 6th position last week in Nashville. Not having the best race. I believe he was involved in that first incident. Not 100% sure. But right now, there is an absolute pack of cars going through 3 and 4, Rich. If you want to go over there, Jack Bailey is sideways. Him and Max Price get into it. They're 3 wide out of turn 4. There we go. We're working on it. There they are. That's the number 54 on the bottom there. That's Lance Ripka. But these guys are absolutely going at it. This is for 28th on back. So every position counts here at the short track at Bristol, because as those leaders catch the field, you don't want to be that first guy that he catches. You want to have a gap there between the lap cars and yourself. So they're going to start to straddle out a little bit here, but it was an absolute mess about 5 laps ago, Sean.
Yeah, and you saw Jack was the primary cause of our first caution here in that black number 2 Century 21 Monte Carlo. So he keeps it going. And so he's going to keep on fighting, but he's got, of course, a mirror full of Lance Ripka in the 54, and also Lee Norton is back there in that Hot Wheels Monte Carlo. So all these guys have, except really the 54 on your screen here, all these guys have a considerable amount of front end damage that we can see. So it's going to be interesting to see if they can keep those cars in one piece. But just behind these guys, as we mentioned, Ricky Harden in the 15 is currently about to be lapped by our leader, Grayson Ward. So there they are. Working their way through 3 and 4. So you see these guys are all single file pretty much right here. But as we were just looking just ahead, we got a bunch of battles happening up towards the front and mid pack. So it's going to be crazy to see how these guys are going to handle it. Right now, we have a pretty big pack of cars going into 1 and 2. Now I see Dexter Knipe in the 555 currently battling with Chris Davis in the 12.
Yeah, Chris Davis in the number 12 machine. Started in 20th up to 13th, trying to get underneath. Dexter Knipe has his brother, Davey Davis, right there in the 305. Both these guys are trying to make their way through the pack. Both have gained spots. Davey's up from 17th to 14th. And like I said, Chris is up from 20th to 15th. They're trying their best. And the one thing that they're doing while they're passing, they are running that bottom line most of the time. Dexter on that top side defending at the moment for that 12th position, trying to keep it in the top dozen. But Chris Davis has a little bit of rear end damage. Regardless, he is making his way through the field, hitting a little bit of contact, but we stay green. Let's go back up front. Looks like Ricky Harden's still holding strong, but what that's doing, Grayson Ward has about 4 cars about a second and a half back and closer, and that's allowing Matt Light, Andy Trupiano, and Dylan Wilson to catch him, and pretty quickly here, Sean.
Yeah, and this is starting to look like typical Bristol now. We got just a big conveyor belt going around this track of cars. So lap traffic and how the leaders negotiate it is going to be a big factor in this. As here we see Andy Trupiano looking underneath Matt Light for second. So Matt is going to concede the position. So move defending series champ Andy Trupiano to second. And Kevin, I got to say, your pick is starting to look a little better as these tires start to wear. That low line is really coming into effect.
Well, the one thing that really matters here at Bristol, and that's why I was talking about the tire strategy, is track position. It's really hard to pass here at Bristol. The high line is the dominant groove for speed. Obviously, you want to run the bottom if you want to save those tires, and I believe that's starting to pay dividends for him getting around that number 23 machine. And another thing, dealing with this lap traffic, this is the largest field at Bristol Motor Speedway for the Windshield Deep season, or for the Racing League. They've had 35 start tonight. The max before in season 1 and 2 was 30. Still 33 cars on track at the moment. So that adds a little bit more traffic here. And like you said, the conveyor belt is alive and well here at Bristol as Ricky Harden, the 54 of Lance Ripka, side by side. Grayson Ward's going to be really careful here because these guys are going to be battling for position in front of them.
They are battling very hard as there you see Lance Ripka going to get lapped right here by our leader, Grayson Ward. It's going to be you got to time your moves precisely. If we get it on board with Grayson Ward here, Ash, I want everyone to see kind of just how what our leader Grayson Ward is seeing. There you are, you're on board with him. He's running that low line, but as you can see right there, these guys don't want to get laps. I'm hearing a lot of contact on the front stretch.
It's in turn 1.
It's the 12 of Chris Davis. The 11 also is involved. That's the 11 of I believe that is
not happy on the radio there.
Yeah, Derek Nickel. I couldn't really get to him, but that is the 11 of Derek Nickel. I was about to mention him, the 11 car. He started 30th. He had made his way all the way up to 15th, and he gets caught up in this incident. So let's see if we can get a quick replay here and see what happened. And it looks like this started, Kevin, with the 555 of Dexter Knipe just hitting the wall.
Yeah, it looks like Dexter hits the outside wall. And the way this is, for some reason in this car specifically, you hit that outside wall, it absolutely launches you off of it. And unfortunately for Derek Nickel, he was just trying to make a pass underneath the number 555 machine of Knipe Jr. and unfortunately was the victim. And then the innocent bystander and all that as well is just Chris Davis just had nowhere to go. That car completely slingshots back onto the track, ricochets back into the racing surface, and that will effectively take away Chris Davis's top 15 position. I don't know if he's completely out of it, but that was a tough break for both of those machines. And we have pit stops.
Yeah, we got a few guys coming on in under this second caution. Our leader, Grayson Ward, is in. Andy Trupiano is also in. We also have Matt Light in the third position is in. Got a lot of guys staying out as well. You see Talon Pelfrey elects to stay out. Dominic Corelli is staying out. Dylan Wilson is staying out. So it looks like the 77 of Dylan Wilson kind of with a strategy call. So he's going to assume the lead here. But Kevin, are you thinking that's a proper call there? That was a very long run. I'm seeing that was about we went green on lap number 7. It's currently lap 40. So pretty long run. You think that's a good call for Dylan?
It's tough because, I mean, last week we all saw like how often and how quickly these cautions would come out after another. Cautions breeding cautions. We had a really long green flag run there. And, you know, Bristol, despite being one of the short tracks that we're going to be running this season, does lend itself for pretty good green flag racing just because the racing surface is so wide. I think it's a little bit early to be taking that first set, but these guys might be banking on, you know, a lot of cautions between now and, say, around a lap 110, 120, maybe getting that final set in the last third of the race. But at this point, like I mentioned before, track position is everything, and Dylan Wilson's going to have a pretty big gap between him and the first set of new tires. I believe Grayson Ward is going to be coming out in the 23rd position. So we'll see how it plays out. But as of right now, I believe that was the right call to make.
So it's going to be the first, it looks like the first 21 cars right now are on their original set of tires. So it's looking like Dylan Wilson, our leader, Dominic Corelli, Cameron Boland, Talon Pelfrey, Mason Maggio will be the top 5. And rounding up the top 10 is Matt Kingsbury, Ethan Tingler, Seth Harrelson, Dexter Knipe, Daryl McKee will also be rounding out the top 10. And a little bit further down, we got, it looks like as they're still kind of filing through. So Blake Reynolds, I'm seeing, is going to be 11th. Oliver Cordell, Eric Wilson, Landon Huffman, Casey Pierce, Kevin Light, Josh Caudle, Drew Cox, Max Price, Jacob Hayes, Jack Bailey, and Spencer Dickinson is actually the first car that is on some form of tires. And everyone else from 21st on back, 22nd on back, I should say, has fresh tires. So we're going to see just how much it takes to get through this traffic. But pace car is ducking off. We're ready to go green once again, coming to lap number 44. And Dylan Wilson leads them down, gets a good restart. Dominic Corelli is also clear side by side for second between Cameron Bolin and Talon Pelfrey. Oh, they're crashing in turn one. Got a wreck. It's going to be Ethan Tingler going around. Collects the Eric 4 of Eric
19
Wilson.
machine there, Rich. There we go. Awesome.
The 19 of Ethan Tingler gets turned going into turn number one. And we were just mentioning, Kevin, how cautions can breed cautions, especially in this. Just had that really long run and only go a few hundred feet before we're looking at caution number 3.
Well, this is the risk you take by taking the early strategy of pitting. A huge checkup between, I believe that was once again Dexter Knipe involved. Someone warped out. I believe that was Ethan Tingler. And Dexter just runs over the back of him, not knowing he was going to be there still. Blake Reynolds was involved as well. Casey Pierce, sporting a newer ONEwraps livery tonight, he was involved. Eric Wilson was in it. Max Price had to slow down for it. A lot of these guys have a lot of damage, and it's really early on. And at this point, I think pitting a little bit early there was not the right call for these guys in the back.
And as you said, that is the risk you run if you want to go ahead and put the tires on early. You run the risk of being stuck in the middle of the pack. And in these things, we like to call the middle of the pack the hornet's nest, and that is where anything can happen, especially wrecks. And there you see firsthand just the risk that these guys run by putting those tires on. So they kind of put themselves at a, I don't want to say an automatic disadvantage, but it doesn't help their cause whatsoever to bring themselves back there, especially if they're at the front. So coming to lap number 47 here, approaching 100 laps to go here in the Sim Center 150 live here from Bristol Motor Speedway. Appreciate you guys hanging out with us, wherever you may be watching, of course, on the Windshield Deep family of social networks on Facebook, Twitch also, and YouTube. Appreciate you guys coming out and hanging out with us for the race tonight. So we'll go over the running order really quick while we have a quick second. Dylan Wilson is your leader. Dominic Corelli being shown in second. Talon Pelfrey is in third. Cameron Bolin is fourth. Matt Kingsbury shown in fifth. Mason Maggio in sixth. A good run so far for Mason. Again, I kind of touched on it earlier. He started 21st. He's up to sixth. Also, Matthew Kingsbury in the 51 started 23rd. He's up to fifth. And last time by the line, a good run for Seth Harrelson. Seth Harrelson is due for a long run. I hate to say it for Seth, but he's usually a wreck magnet in this league. And he just gets caught up in some of the most unfortunate wrecks. I don't want to jinx him, but hopefully he can keep that 07 car going strong. But he's currently sitting there in seventh. Another good run for Dale McKee in the 56. He started 29th. He's up to eighth. And Oliver Cordell, a good top three finish again. He had to start in the back tonight because of that top three finish last week. So he started shotgun on the field today. He's currently worked his way into the top 10, as has last week's winner, Landon Huffman, has worked his way into the top 10. So, Kevin, again, do you think these guys in the middle of the pack that took tires are currently still running the risk of getting that caution or getting caught up in that next wreck, or you think it might actually settle down here?
Well, these guys did get pretty lucky. They were not involved in that incident. The guys who did pit, the tail end of the people who didn't pit were actually involved. And they ended up gaining about 4 or 5 positions. Grayson was in 24th before that restart. He is now up to 18th, and we're going to be delaying the green here to let the field stack back up. But a quick note, the number 6 of Spencer Dickinson did come down for his first stop the sequence before. He did not take tires. I believe that was a fuel-only call to keep the balance in the car a little bit different than the people who stayed out. So I'm really curious to see how that pans out on the long haul. He still has the 2 sets of tires in the pits, but he really didn't lose any positions on the track. He was 19th before he pit, and right now he's in 17th. So we're gonna have to see if that is. I think that's going to work out for him, because most of the time you put that fuel in there, it keeps the car loose, and normally on these Bristol setups here in the 87s, it's really tight. So that might work out for him, but I still think it's too early to call to see if this was the right move or not.
Yeah, definitely. So it's going to be interesting to see, especially for him too. That's one of the few fuel-only calls we'll see in this league. A lot of guys want to get those tires, want to get the grip, but a lot of these guys save their tires the best they can, and maybe they just want to go a little longer on fuel than some of these guys pending a long green flag run. So We're going to see where Dickinson comes out in that. But right now, going to have our fourth restart of the night. Pace car is ducking off. Dylan Wilson and Dominic Corelli will lead them to the green flag, and Wilson is on it. Gets away very cleanly. He's going to clear Corelli going into one, and Talon Pelfrey looks like he didn't get a very good restart on the bottom. He's going to be side by side with Cameron Bolin off at 2.
Dylan Wilson, your new leader due to these pit sequences, going to have the lead handily right now, but Dominic Corelli wants it. Behind him, Bolin, they're going to single file out. Behind them, they're going to be 3 wide potentially. Looks like Daryl McKee, or that was Matt Kingsbury, looked 3 wide momentarily underneath Pelfrey and Maggio, but they're going to double file out for now. That's going to be between 8th, 9th, and 10th. Here comes Landon Huffman on that outside line. Him and Oliver Cordell started dead last in this race due to that top 3 provision running last week, and they are making their way through the field, Sean. They're both 8th and 9th, respectively.
Great run so far for those guys, but their jobs aren't done yet. They still got a few more cars to go. Bristol, again, a little different than Nashville, a lot more higher banked, and not really the middle line, but the top line is going to be the preferred line for passing. So we're going to see just how long it takes those guys to get back up to the field. But pretty much the first 8 or 9 cars are single file, but we got a great big pack of these guys racing it out. We saw Landon Huffman is still side by side with Oliver Cordell going into turn number 1. Got the 25 of Kevin Light right behind them. They're going to single file out. Got to go back a few cars there to Drew Cox in the 63, Seth Harrelson in the 07. They are still side by side, but a little bit further back here from Josh Caudle in the 13 car on back. You got a big group of cars. They're starting to separate a little, but Andy Trupiano's there, and here comes Davey Davis in that 305.
Guys going high, guys going low, trying to make any kind of pass they can. Davey Davis in that 305 does make it work on that bottom groove. Believe he was one of the guys who did come in on for new tires. Looks like he did. And him and Andy Trupiano are cutting their way through the field. We saw last week, Davey Davis and a handful of others made those new tires work early and often, and it ended up working out for him until they were involved in a late race incident. But here comes Davey and that bottom split number 305, making that outside line work, and he's past Andy Trupiano. Now he's looking to get around the number 75 of Landon Huffman. Landon Huffman on that bottom line, he was in the top 10, and now he's really struggling on that bottom line. I don't know if he has sustained a little bit of right front damage. Not sure when he received that, but ever since we talked about him about 5 laps ago, he is dropping like a rock, and here comes Grayson Ward underneath him as well.
So Landon is not one of the guys that took tires on that pit stop, but if you look, that 305 at Davey Davis was one of those guys, as Kevin mentioned. He has the newest tires in the field right now. I should say closest to the front on the newest tires. So guys that are kind of making their way through the field, as we saw Andy Trupiano right behind, and Grayson Ward are right back there as well in the 9. So watch for those guys to cut up to the field still. But back up front, we got a battle going on for second right now. Dylan Wilson has put a good amount of distance on these guys, but Cameron Bolin in the 67 makes his way by Dominic Corelli in the 61, and right there you got Talon Pelfrey. All these cars under a blanket for second to about 6th.
Looking like a speedway here, Sean. They're 3 wide nearly for 5th. Mason Maggio looks low on the number 56 machine of Daryl McKee, but thinks better of it. Dominic Corelli stuck on that bottom line. He's lost a handful of positions. Here comes Oliver Cordell right behind him. Nearly gets into the back of him. That's going to check up the bottom that's going to give Kevin Light the ability to get a handful of positions on that top side. In front of them, Kingsbury gets the advantage over Maggio. A lot of action here happening up front, and it's looking like these new tires are catching these guys. Going to be really interesting to see as Cordell, I believe he's still on old tires, but Davey Davis is all over the back of him at this point. Let's see if Davey can get through it as cleanly as possible.
Oliver Cordell did not pit, so like we said, Davey has worked his way into the top 10. He's got the newest tires towards the front of the field. His tires are 24, now 25 laps old, and the rest of these guys have 65 lap old tires. So Davey has the most grip of anybody, and he's showing it. He goes by the 64 Mason Maggio, and you got to think it's only a matter of time before he handles Cordell, Light, Kingsbury, and the rest of these guys up front. So look for Davey to be up there in a hurry, but Dylan Wilson, our leader, is gone. He's got a 1.3 second lead over Cameron Bolin, but they're starting to get organized behind him, and they might start to catch the 77 as we got a 3-wide battle here. As you see, the 9 of Grayson Ward, he's still on his new tires, and Andy Trupiano is there as well, just ahead. So these guys are cutting their way up as well.
Things starting to calm down just a little bit at the front. As I say that, they go 3 wide out of turn 2. Oliver Cordell and Davey look low underneath the number 25 machine of Kevin Light. They're still side by side. The Kingdom cars side by side. That's for 4th Daryl McKee going to concede that position to Matt Kingsbury. Kingsbury running that more dominant high line, gets that 4th spot, looking for more as he gets to the right to the back of number 8 of Pelfrey, Landon Huffman on the radio. Not sure what he was talking about. I think he's just frustrated right now. He's lost a handful of spots since that restart. But right now, Daryl McKee, the victim on that bottom line, might be doing that on purpose, but it's hard to say because he did stay out. Might be saving those tires just a little bit. And I'm hearing a ton of contact. We might be having a caution. I'm looking around to see if there's anything. And there is a caution. The number's 22 of Max Price is around on the apron. And that will bring out our caution yet again. And now what do you do if you're those guys who just pitted? Because you got to stay out, I would assume. You know, if you're Davey, Mason Maggio, I'm sorry, he stayed out. Grayson Ward, Matt Light pitted. Let's get a replay here. I believe it's something happened in front of him. Ricky Harden and Jack Bailey got into it. Jack kind of lost it, and chaos ensues. Poor Max Price, once again, the innocent victim. He was absolutely sent to the moon last week at Nashville, flipped into the infield, and disconnected from the serve. And it looks like Max Price, once again, a victim just in a wreck that he was not a part of. And are these guys pitting? Guess not. Looks like everyone stayed out in the front, so these guys are saving their tires as long as they can. There they go. Here comes Wilson's in, Boland's in, Pelfrey's in, Kingsbury, Light, Cordell, Davey stays out, McKee is in, Mason Maggio is in, Cox, Corelli, Harrelson, Landon Huffman is in, Casey Pierce, Blake Reynolds, Josh Cottle, pretty much the whole field, Sean.
Yeah, so pretty much everybody that didn't pit on that first caution, maybe besides a couple of others, are coming in to take their first set of tires. Which is a good deal too. They got 71 laps on the current set of tires they have on now. We got to give a shout out to Ricky Harden there for last week. It is confirmed that, if you guys remember, Ricky Harden did not even take a set of tires at all last week at Nashville, and he still ended up with a top 10. So big shout out to Ricky Harden for that. I don't think he can get away with it tonight at Bristol, but that is a feat in and of itself. So Ricky not having the best of runs tonight, but hopefully he can turn it around. He's currently being shown in 27th on the lead lap. He is on pit road, so we're going to see how he can do. But with all these guys pitting, it's going to hand the lead over to Davey Davis in the 305. So the first laps he's led so far in this race, so far in this season, I should say, as well. So we could probably call in someone to the booth. We haven't done that in a while, so let's go ahead and snag. Blake, you got us?
Hello?
Hey, so what's going on in your race here, man? We just want to talk to you for a little bit. So you've been up and down, got involved in that wreck a couple cautions ago. So while you're mired back, it looks like 17th now. So what are you thinking at this point in the race?
I don't know. I was just pissed at the penalty because they didn't tell me what the penalty was, and I went to pit, and it was a hold, which they didn't even tell me. So then I had to get my lap back, given back to me, and then I was EOL. So that wasn't fun, but I used the rest of my tires there to get some spots back, and then we just took one of our 2 fresh pairs.
So you got 1 set of tires left, is what you're saying?
Yep.
All
Most of
right.
the field should, unless someone stayed out.
Are you aware of who's leading?
Yeah, I am. Where he probably has no tires left.
Oh, he does. He took his set of tires, but you know he's got 1 more set to go. But Blake, we're on the 1 to go. So tell us what your strategy is before we let you go. How are you going to cut through this field?
Well, I'm going to use these tires pretty good here because I got 1 set remaining and it's not long to go. So,
all right, man.
Well, see
well,
me do some 3 wide stuff here.
Oh, that's good. I can't wait. So you're my pick here. Go get him in. Keep that thing in one piece, and we'll talk to you later. All right.
10-4.
Blake sounds kind of flustered there, Kevin. Don't you think?
I think he's frustrated being involved in that early incident. Before we go green, I know we're about to go right now. Ricky Harden was given an end along this line penalty for that incident. I tend to disagree. I believe the 2 came down on Ricky, but regardless, he's going to be sent to the back. Green flag is out. Davey Davis gets a good run out of turn 4 to start this race as your leader, running that inside line, but behind him, we got some heavy hitters. Andy Trupiano already looking high, almost 3 wide as they exit turn 2, but here comes Trupiano, the 2-time champ.
Trupiano made his way up through the field here, looking to complete his trek up. He gets the run off the corner and gets the lead, so move the 7 out front. And Davey, I hear some crashing on the front stretch.
In the back.
Big wreck. I don't see it.
Nothing yet.
Sounded like there's a big wreck. There was a lot of contact, but no caution. We stay green here, and they are still all over the place on the front stretch. Davey Davis falls back to 4th as Matt Light will move into 3rd, and they are still side by side down the back.
New tires of Oliver Cordell all over the back of Davey Davis. Going to be put 3 wide. He is just all over the place in the middle of there. And that 305 machine just trying to find a way to stay clean, as that's the number 51 of Kingsbury underneath him. Just poor Davey just on those old tires. These new tires eating them up. Has already fallen outside into the 10th position from the lead. Here comes Mason Maggio to kick him out of the top 10. So put Davey in 11th position. Mason Maggio takes 10. In front of them, side by side, nearly 3 wide. It is 3 wide. Blake Reynolds into the wall. Hits Talon Pelfrey. Sideways is Pelfrey. They spin, get back together, but caution going to be thrown because of that. What a save.
Well, I think
Kevin called a save.
Well, I think there was another wreck that we missed that was on the front straightaway. I saw the 555 of Dexter Knipe hit the wall again, and he just got sent way into the inside wall. That might be what the caution's for. We'll see. But on the there you see Talon Pelfrey getting involved in his wreck. But if we can get a shot of what happened to the 555 of Dexter Knipe Jr., I think
it on his own.
Yeah, I think this might actually be what the caution's for. Because that looked like a lot bigger of a wreck, and we're going to see, man, these wall physics. Watch how aggressive this car. He hits the wall right there, and it just sends the car right to the infield. That should not happen. But he disconnects immediately, but the caution was already out. So hard to tell what incident it was for, but nonetheless, that'll bring out the 5th caution of the event. So we should be seeing a couple guys maybe coming in, but that's a caution that I think Davey kind of wanted to see. He was plummeting through the field in a hurry.
Well, if I'm Davey, I mean, you kind of have to just play it for the long game. If you take your tires now, as Dexter Knipe Jr. does manually disconnect from the server, I mean, he's in 10th still. So I mean, I consider that a net gain. He did start 17th, and before the round of pit stops, he pitted. He was around 13th, 14th position, and I mean, he's definitely going to continue to lose spots because of those older tires, but you got to think long game. I would probably wait another 20, 30 laps to get that extra set, the only set you have left in the pits. So Davey's going to have to play it here. He's going to have to probably take it on the chin a little bit for a few laps and lose more spots, as Talon Pelfrey looks like he's going to try and fix some damage on that wounded number 8 machine. But going to be coming to 69 laps to go. So we're just past halfway here, Sean, and a lot of these guys have already taken their one set of tires. A couple have already taken, I believe, their second set. Not 100% sure on that. But the guys right now up front in the top 3 are in a good position. Andy Trupiano and Grayson Ward, obviously on older tires, but Dylan Wilson right there in second. Boys that have a career run so far.
Yeah, I mean, Dylan's having a great run. Let's see if we could have a word with Dylan. We'll go and pull him up here really quick. We got 2 to green. Dylan, you got us?
I do.
All right, so we're just talking about you, man. You're having a great run so far, currently sitting in second. You've led a handful of laps here, so things are looking good so far. Tell us about your race so far.
Yeah, man, it's pretty good. I enjoy Bristol. I didn't get to run here last season, but you know, it's fun. It definitely wears some tires out, so it fits my driving style, I guess you could say. But overall, it's pretty good. You know, got this Sim Center Jan Lee Detective Agency car up front. That's what we needed to do. But yeah, I mean, real excited to see how this thing shakes out.
Yeah, definitely having a great run. Looks like you've been pretty busy in the paint shop this week. Got a bunch of new schemes out here for you, so they're all looking good on the track so far. So one more question before we let you let you get back down there for the restart. What's going to be your strategy for this last part of the run? Are you going to try and stay up here, maybe save a little tire, or going to try to get the lead from here on out?
Yeah, well, if we can get the lead here, that'd be nice. But we'll just see what Andy does. He's on a little bit older tires than me, so we'll see what his pace is. But definitely need to save. We got another set of tires in the pit, so hopefully we can take advantage of those later on in the race and do something cool on a late restart. We'll see what happens here.
Well, the race is looking good for you so far. Car's looking good, so go ahead and bring that thing on home. We'll be rooting for you, man. Good luck.
Appreciate it, boys.
Dylan Wilson in the 77 there, restarting second. So coming to the green flag here with 66 laps to go. Pace car ducks off. Andy Trupiano leads them to the green. A great restart for him. He's going to be clear of everybody. Here comes Grayson Ward following him through. Dylan Wilson falls back to third, and he's going to have the run off the top, and they are just stacked up everywhere from third on back down the back as we head into turn 3. Trupiano leads the way, and they're wrecking in turn number 3. Oliver Cordell gets turned. Drew Cox gets involved. Seth Harrelson again.
Oh, don't do that. Oh, no.
And they are still piling in. The Hot Wheels car of Lance Ripka's in the pit barrels. Lance Ripka is also in there. Like I said, Lee Norton was the one in the pit barrels. This started, Kevin, right smack in the middle of the field. And that is just a tough break for Oliver Cordell and company.
Oliver Cordell just, I mean, was that really him and his fault? No, it looks like Bolin just runs him over. But this is where it all begins, and it's not over yet. Somebody just did not hold their brakes.
Looks like
And
Drew
that
Cox.
yeah, I believe it was Drew, just sent the number 29 and the 54 into the pit barrels. And that made a 3 or 4 car incident into over half a dozen cars involved. A lot of these guys just trying to use evasive maneuvers to get to that inside line. But man, that was an absolute tough break for these guys up front, especially Oliver. He had made his way through the field and will now be relegated with damage back in 21st position with newer tires, mind you, but he has had to do this once. He's going to have to drive through the field again. So unfortunately for him, going to have to utilize those tires and probably waste a good chunk of the newness on them. Cameron Bolin is going to be given the ULL penalty for causing that incident, for getting into the back of Oliver. So send him to the back, but a tough break for a lot of these guys up front.
Absolutely. So working caution number 6 here of the Sim Center 150 here from Bristol Motor Speedway. Just a little bit of a lull in the action. So we'll go ahead and take a quick break here to kind of get everything re-racked for this next restart. So don't go anywhere, guys. A lot more action left to go here at Bristol. We'll see who can take it home. But right now we got Andy Trupiano leading everybody. So don't go away. We'll be right back here at Bristol.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey. I'ma get right in my bag. Why you gonna try to get mad? Everybody wanna keep up. Don't you know I move too fast? I'ma zip right past. Drip all on my swag. Why you trying to size me up? You don't wanna try your luck. Hot as a stove, what did you know? Burn like coal, yeah, you know I go. Way too hot, yeah, really too cold. I'ma keep going till I hit my goal. Better get back when I'm in my zone. Do it for the ones that I know back home. Did it myself, they ain't put me on. But you go back if you hear that song. Yeah, watch me.
And back here at Bristol Motor Speedway here, Sean Butler, Kevin McAdams, Rich Kolsla here with you tonight for the Windshield Deep Racing League Sim Center 150, live from the Bristol Motor Speedway, currently working lap number 89, coming down to yet another restart, working our 6th caution. Didn't really miss anything, so we should be getting the one to go here. So Kevin, coming up to just over 60 laps to go, what do you think your mindset would be if you're in the situation, if you're mid-pack and trying to make your way up through this thing?
Well, as we just saw, I mean, we've seen a handful of times already. If you're in the middle of this pack, you almost have nowhere to go to avoid these wrecks that happen in front of you, especially with how narrow it kind of gets on the exit of the corner. So I'd be nervous once again coming to a restart. If I'm in, 10th on back, especially with these guys on older tires in front of you, I would be a little bit apprehensive to be going 2 and 3 wide, but we'll have to see how this pans out. Pace car about to come off the track. Andy Trupiano going to lead us to the green. Grayson Ward 2nd, Dylan Wilson 3rd, Matt Light in 4th, and Mason Maggio in 5th. Big checkup as they come to the green. Davey Davis has nowhere to go, and he loses a ton of momentum as they go into turn 1. Side by side right now, they're going to be for the 3rd position. Dylan Wilson has it, and Matt Light wants it.
Just talked to Dylan how good of a run he was having sitting in 2nd. Got a battle for the lead, though. Here comes Grayson Ward looking underneath Andy Trupiano. Grayson Ward in the 9, Trupiano in the 7. Trupiano has the preferred line to hold him off with the momentum off the corner, so he's going to be able to hold the lead. Single file for the first 5 spots. And a guy we haven't really mentioned all that often, Casey Pierce in the 18. He was another guy that had to go to the back of the field for finishing top 3 last week at Nashville. He currently sits in 6th.
Yeah, Casey Pierce was involved in one of the early incidents, I believe, around lap 20, and he has rallied very well to be in the top 6. Here he comes for 5th, around the number 51 of Matt Kingsbury, and it looks like he's going to do it, running that very dominant outside line for speed. Meanwhile, behind them, here comes Blake Reynolds. Blake Reynolds was involved with an incident earlier with Talon Pelfrey. He has rebounded very nicely. He is looking low underneath Matt Light, who was in the wall a few laps ago, almost hits the wall again out of turn 4, and that's going to put Blake Reynolds in the 7th position right behind Matt Kingsbury.
Again, Blake mentioned that he has taken his last set of tires, so it's going to be important for him to get up to the field of caution, which does not benefit him. But Casey Pierce is also on newer tires, so a lot of guys with 10, 11 lap old tires, guys like Casey Pierce, Blake Reynolds, of course, a little bit further back, Josh Caudle in the 13. We haven't mentioned him a lot tonight. He is on very, very new tires, and A lot of guys that recently pit are starting to cut their way up. But right now, it's Casey Pierce moving himself into the top 5. As you see on your screen, he's working that high line, it seems, as he's looking to pass Mason Maggio in the 64, and he gets it done easily.
Oh, a lot of traffic. The number 32 is in the wall. Josh Stark right in front of the leaders. That checks up the field, and he is still on the outside wall, and everyone's trying to avoid him. Still on the outside wall. He comes off the wall again. Davey Davis and Spencer Dickinson look low. Harrelson's trying to get around him. Josh Stark just an absolute chicane at this point here at the Bristol Motor Speedway. Might have the availability to go low here. Doesn't look like it. Here comes Bailey, Tingler, Max Price. Last car on track. Looks like it's going to have to navigate him as Lee Norton, and he does so. Back to the action. I believe, Sean, that Casey and Blake did not come in for tires. I believe they still have one set left. They looks like they're only in the pits for a handful of seconds. They might have employed the same strategy that Spencer Dickinson did a few laps ago with fuel only. But regardless, these guys are coming through the field, and Blake Reynolds is in the wall. Oh, got a little bit loose out of turn 4.
So Casey Pierce might make easy work of Andy Trupiano here, but Trupiano's making him earn it, working that top lane.
For the lead. Holy cow.
It is Blake Reynolds right there, but here's the 32 again. Oh, he's right in front of Casey Pierce and makes Casey get on the brakes and loses. They might have to park the 32, and Casey Pierce is just losing time like crazy, stuck behind it. We have a wreck on the front straightaway. Davey Davis is in it, a bunch of other guys, and that's going to bring out caution number 7. But man, things go from bad to worse already, and that is not a good look for the 32 of Josh Stark. Probably the main reason that big checkup and wreck inevitably happened, and it might not surprise me if RJ Williams and company, and there he goes. I think they have just removed him from the server, so not a very good look there. You see Davey Davis in the 305 was in it as well. Looks like also the 25 of Kevin Light was involved as well, so very unfortunate for those guys. But Andy Trupiano and Blake Reynolds are going to be your top 2. Man, Casey Pierce relegated back to 7th right as he was challenging for the lead coming off of turn 4.
It's one thing to lose positions due to a lap car. It's another thing to lose it to somebody who was 88 laps down in last. Josh Stark probably could have caused about 4 or 5 incidents there before Casey had to make a crazy move to the bottom and avoid the number 32 machine. He comes out of it pretty unscathed, but everyone behind him, Davey Davis, Spencer Dickinson, and company, all getting wrecked there because of the chain reaction. It's definitely the right call to get rid of the number 32 of Josh Stark. He will be done for the day, 35th overall. That is last on the grid, and I believe it is going to be in the majority that number 32 is off the track, being a good thing for the rest of this race.
Well, fortunately for Casey, he's still got fresher tires than pretty much everybody that was ahead of him, so he's going to stay out and assume the 4th position unofficially. We got to see where it all shakes out, but he should be starting on the outside of this restart, which is a good thing. He'll have the preferred line going into turn number 1. So as they run right now, we got a bunch of guys on pit road. So Blake Reynolds is going to assume the lead. Dylan Wilson is currently sitting in 2nd. Josh Caudle sitting in 3rd. Casey Pierce, we just mentioned, in 4th. Drew Cox will be 5th. Matt Light is 6th. Seth Harrelson, after being involved in that caution a couple of cautions ago, is currently sitting in 7th. Ricky Harden is in 8th, Talon Pelfrey 9th, and Jacob Hayes will round out the top 10. So I believe we are working caution number 8. I'm supposed to manually keep track of these, but honestly, it's getting to the point where they're starting to stack up. And Davey Davis was given an EOL penalty, so that's a new one. So we're going to see the 305 get sent to the back. Maybe they're saying he was the cause of that secondary incident.
Looks like it, even though the 32 was all over the place. Independent of that, Davey Davis did get into the outside wall out of turn 4 and collect Spencer Dickinson and company for that caution. So I believe that is the right call to give Davey in the longest line. Real unfortunate for him. I believe he is on his last set, and he had decent track position even with that incident. But this is going to be tough sailing for him the rest of the race. Going to be 45 laps to go, probably 43, 42 laps to go once we get back under green. So he is running out of time to make up those spots. But anything is possible here at Bristol. We've seen many big ones tonight, 6-8 car incidents, and I believe we're not done wrecking tonight. But back up front, Blake Reynolds, your current leader, Dylan Wilson in 2nd, Josh Caudle 3rd, Casey Pierce in 4th, And despite being involved in one of the incidents a few laps ago, Drew Cox and that Wonder Bread machine is in 5th.
So give a call to Blake Reynolds. We just talked to him. He wasn't all that confident after getting a penalty, but he finds himself leading the race. Of course, the season is very young, so he doesn't have a win, but that is certainly going to change. Will it be tonight? Who knows? Well, we're going to find out here. Pace car ducks off. Reynolds and Wilson will lead them. And I'm hearing contact already in the back of the field. Big checkup on the bottom. Everyone seems to get away. So Blake Reynolds is going to have the whole shot through 1 and 2. And it looks like Josh Caudle is going to clear for second. But right there, Dylan Wilson looking low in their single file for the first about 10 spots, but all over the place. But Blake Reynolds still leads the way off of 4.
Reynolds going to have the lead pretty effectively as they go into turn 1 and 2. Josh Caudle looking to maintain the momentum on the backstretch with that high line. Going to do so, and he's going to continue to climb on that high line, use that banking, get right to the back of the number 66 machine of Reynolds. And we might see another lead change. Here comes Josh Caudle running that high line. Blake Reynolds choosing to run a little bit lower line, trying to save those tires, save those precious tires. I believe he only has 1 set left. And that's going to stack up this entire field. Casey Pierce all over the back of Josh Caudle. He was involved in that last incident with the number 32 machine. He's rebounded nicely from 4th all the way up to 3rd. Was 7th before that pit stop. And it looks like the field's stacking up because of it.
Oh, speaking of stack ups, there's a big one. If we look a little further back in the field, we have an engine that just blew. I'm not seeing who it was. It looks like Jacob Hayes in the 1 just lost an engine. So that might be due to damage he's had that got the temperatures high in that car. So that's unfortunately going to end Jacob Hayes' night. No caution, though. We stay green. Everyone's able to avoid. But look at this battle here we got up front. This is looking very racy right now. Give a call to Josh Caudle in that 13 car, the Jinx Total Advantage Monte Carlo. Having a career run, you could say. So this is the highest he's been. Does not have a win in the Windshield Deep Racing League. So it'd be nice to see him break the schneid, if you will, and get the number 13 to victory lane. There's Casey Pierce, as you can see, right behind him. So, and as the graphic shows right there, a lot of guys that started in the back have made their way into the top 5. The aforementioned Josh Caudle we saw in the graphic started 31st. He's up to 2nd. Drew Cox, though, a little bit behind these guys in this 4-car little train here. He started 32nd. He's up to 4th. So there you see the 63 Wonder Bread machine. So a lot of good runs for these guys, and these 4 have checked out from the field. And you got to go back to this big pack side by side with Dylan Wilson and Matt Kingsbury.
Back to the super speedway style of racing here at Bristol. Ricky Harden just threaded the needle 3 wide. He is up to the top 10 after almost being lapped earlier in this event. Oh, Matt Light going to hit the wall. They're going to keep going. Landon Huffman had to make maneuvers to get around him, but they're still side by side. Tellen Pelfrey on the outside of Dominic Corelli, Ricky Harden on the outside of Andy Trupiano, and Dylan Wilson on the outside of Brett Pancari. A lot of battles here in the top 10. Going to keep it as clean as they can. But right now, this is the Hornet's Nest we're going to have to keep an eye on. Landon Huffman nearly hits the number 8 machine of Tellen Pelfrey as he's trying to make his way through the field yet again after having to take a pit stop. And he is coming quickly, Sean.
Landon Huffman is on one of the newer tires, so it appears he did take his last set, and he is charging through the field currently on 14-lap older tires. Up front, they're still battling. There you see Drew Cox, but how about Brett Pancari in that 35 Castrol GTX Monte Carlo? Haven't talked much about him at all tonight, but he is also on a new set of tires, and he is working his way into the top 5, and he's got the first 4 cars, I should say, right in his windshield. There you see the 51 of Matt Kingsbury on the low side. He's looking to keep his position, but here comes Pancari to the outside, and he's stuck on that bottom lane, and it's only a matter of time before he gets past for that spot. But what a job by the 35, and for him, hopefully, this can stay green, and maybe he can challenge for the lead later on as the tires start to wear.
As these cycle out, Matt Kingsbury on the inside line. I was just about to mention he's also on new tires, but he killed the newness on him there. Basically 4-wheel drifted through 1 and 2, trying to stay on that bottom line. A little bit loose there for the number 51 Kingdom machine, and that's going to cause him to lose 5th. Meanwhile, the leader, Blake Reynolds, is wheeling it as well. He just got really loose. Casey Pierce and Josh Caudle holding these guys up on these new tires. But as this goes on, the tires do equal out a little bit.
I'm hearing contact,
and caution is out. Let's see what's going on. I don't see anybody around. There it is. Ethan Tingler around and Max Price is around. I'm going to have to see what happened there. But it looks like it's going to be the end of the day for both these guys as their engines are blown. Let's get a replay.
Oh wow, this was a synchronized wreck. If we see this when we come off the corner, they just come off the corner side by side and get into each other and simultaneously hit the inside wall. Watch this. This is one of those perfectly synced wrecks here. There you go, and they both hit the wall and just spin right around. A couple guys with nowhere to go. The 2 gets involved again. So that is the second incident for the 2 car in this race. So not a very good sign for Jack Bailey there in the 2, and it looks like Ethan Tingler has expired that engine, so he might be done for the night. But nonetheless, by my count, this is caution number 9 here in the Sim Center 150, and we got some pit stops going on.
Blake Reynolds is in, Casey Pierce is in, so it looks like they do have one set left. Josh Cottle has decided to make his final pit stop. Drew Cox, Dylan Wilson is in. That puts a lot of these leaders who this is not a lot of time, Sean. Going to be about 20 laps to go. They're going to have to use these tires quick. Talon Pelfrey is in as well, probably just trying to fix some damage. Seth Harrelson, Jack Bailey, Davey Davis, probably trying to fix some damage. Matt Light, who is up front. Going to be really, this might be a little late for these guys. We're going to be probably 23, 24 laps to go once we get back under green. And Bristol, these laps go by quickly here. Might be a little bit too late to put these last set on.
Well, we'll see. I mean, you never know with these cautions. You know, that could help these guys get through the field, slow the race down. Maybe a green-white checkered, which is pretty inevitable in this series. But we'll see. But nonetheless, these guys are doing a good job up front here, and I give a big call to Matt Kingsbury as well. Those guys, Matt Kingsbury started 23rd, currently leading. Breck Punkari, another guy that came all the way up through the field from the 28th position. He's currently up to 2nd. So very good job by those guys. But Andy Trupiano as well. He's back there. He's going to be restarting in 3rd unofficially. So is Dominic Corelli. Landon Huffman. Landon's had quite a roller coaster of an event tonight. He's been up and down all the way through the field, but he finds himself in the top 5 right where he needs to be. Also, Grayson Ward is right there. Our pole sitter currently sitting in 6th. Daryl McKee in the 56 car started 29th. He's currently in 7th. Cameron Bolin in that 67 Hair Gallery Monte Carlo. Bolin Brothers logging car as well is in the 8th position. Spencer Dickinson in 9th. And Lance Ripka, if you remember, was involved with that wreck where the driver hit the pit barrels and landed on top of his car. But he's currently sitting in the top 10. So a lot of strategy here. The new tires, the first car on new tires by my count is going to be the 8 of Talon Pelfrey. So the top 12 stay out, then everybody from Pelfrey on back is on tires. And Kevin, as you mentioned, just over 20 laps to go here at Bristol. That can go by quick. So these guys pretty much have to tick off a car a lap to get back up to the front here.
Yeah, it looks like Talon Pelfrey took 2. That might be the right call with how many laps are left. Going to be coming to 23 laps to go as the dogs are playing in the background. But Blake Reynolds is going to be the first on that outside line. That might be the place to be, since we're going to be coming to the nitty-gritty, as many people say, getting to the end of this race. That high line is the place to pass and the place to go fast. So we're going to have to see if he can make his way through the field. We're going to have to go through 13 cars. Green flag is out. Kingsbury going to command the field, checks up the field pretty bad. Going to be 3 wide already in the back. Casey Pierce underneath the number 8 of Talon Pelfrey. They're 4 wide in the back. Here comes Blake Reynolds threading the needle. Going to get to the right behind the number 67 machine of Graham Bolin. He's already in the top 10, Sean.
These guys are cutting their way through the field. Blake Reynolds threading the needle past Cameron Bolin and Mason Maggio. What a move by Blake Reynolds. He's already up to 8th, and he is not done yet. He has a little bit of space in between the 56 of McKee and Grayson Ward, but he's got to pick his spots, but he's got to get it done quick. We're coming down to 21 laps to go here at Bristol, and the new tires are trying to make their way through the field in a hurry as Spencer Dickinson gets to the back of Landon Huffman, still 3 wide down the back.
Side by side from 5th on back. Here comes Blake Reynolds, and he is flying on that inside line. Up to 4th is the number 66 machine of Blake Reynolds. Going to go to the high side now. Going to make 3rd place look easy. We're going to 2nd look easy. Here comes Blake Reynolds. An absolute run, and caution is out. Blake Reynolds going to be in 2nd, but in the back of the field, it looks like Drew Cox in 17th is around in that number 63 machine. And wow, what an absolute move for Blake Reynolds. That slowed his momentum, but I think he's got it in the bag. We'll have to keep an eye on him on this next caution. Looks like Talon Pelfrey going to take blame for this incident as we get a replay. Yeah, it looks like he just gets in the back of Mason Maggio, and Drew Cox just has nowhere to go, hits those barrels yet again. And looks like the car's okay, but unfortunately, he's going to lose a lot of track position in that 63 machine.
Wow, that'll bring out caution, unofficially caution number 10 in this race. So we've hit double digits. But man, I gotta say, this is one of the most exciting windshield deep races we've seen. It's had some green flag runs, had some caution periods, some exciting moments, 3 wide even. But man, what a job by Blake Reynolds. Started back and restarted, I believe, 15th, and he currently made his way up to second in only about 2 or 3 laps before the caution came out. So excellent job by Blake. He's not in the Coke series for no reason, so he knows what he's doing. He's my pick as well, so that makes that's pretty cool too. But nonetheless, Blake gets up there and finds his way in second. And also Casey Pierce restarted in the mid pack as well. He's up to 8th, trying to follow Blake Reynolds through. So the new tires have arrived at the front of the field. So Blake Reynolds currently on 9-lap-old tires, Casey Pierce on 8. But then the next set of tires, you got to go back. Josh Caudle and Ricky Harden sitting in 11th and 12th. Those guys are on new tires as well. They didn't have as much luck getting their way through the field as Reynolds did, but they still have their work cut out for them. So we should be going green with about 16 or 15 laps to go here. So Kevin, as we've seen before, it might look good now, but this thing is far from over.
Well, Casey Pierce is the next on new tires. He's in 8th. He has that outside line. He's going to have to do exactly the same thing as Blake. I believe Blake will have the lead as we come to the green next time by, it looks like. I think he'll have the lead out of turn 2 and take over the number 1 position over Matt Kingsbury. But anything is possible. Casey Pierce has to do everything in his power to get up to that front row before the next caution, because he's going to be probably the only one that has a shot to face that number 66 machine in a heads-up duel for the win on a late race restart. So Casey's got his work cut out for him at the moment. It looks like we're going to be still under caution, but Casey has time. It looks like we're going to be 14 to go. He has time to get to the front, but he's probably going to need a late race caution to have any chance for a win.
So I want to bring in, we do this every week, I hope, and we haven't really done it yet, but RJ, you got us?
Hey guys, what's going on?
Hey man, we're just going to ask you that. So lead official RJ Williams, what do you think about this race so far, man? Been pretty exciting on all accounts. How you guys fared in the race control tower up there?
Oh, we're having a good time watching it. Guys, you know, they have their ups and downs, but it's been fun watching Blake drive through the field. That's been pretty cool to watch him do that. But so far, so good. I think it's a pretty good race compared to Nashville. Let's hope these boys put it off on a good end here.
Oh, absolutely, man. So I just wanted to get your feelings there. One more thing before we go. What do you think is going to be the closing part of this thing? You think Blake's going to get this done, or someone else going to steal it from him?
Blake's going to drive his way up there. I think it's all Blake's.
Sounds good. He's my pick, too, so that's a good thing for me. But I'll let you get back there, RJ. Always good talking to you, man. We'll talk to you later, but doing a good job up there. Keep it up.
Good to see you guys.
Always good talking to RJ. Got to get it in before at least the end of the race. Gonna make sure we get that there. But pace car is getting ready to duck off here. Home stretch of this race coming to 15 laps to go, 14 when they reach the line. They're checking up a little bit. Matt Kingsbury checks them up. Green flag is out. Kingsbury gets away. Reynolds side by side with Andy Trupiano. They are 2 wide all the way around. Here comes Trupiano to the bottom. Reynolds with a shot off the top. He's going to look to the inside. He gets blocked by Kingsbury into 3. Trupiano looks low. They're 3 wide for the lead down the front.
Blake Reynolds threads the needle around Trupiano and Kingsbury, and as I mentioned, new leader in the 66. Blake Reynolds going to set sail, but behind them, here comes Casey Pierce. Casey Pierce underneath Landon Huffman. That's going to be for 5th. His next goal is to get around the number 7 machine of Andy Trupiano, as well as the number 35 machine of Brett Pancari. That'll put him in 3rd, and then after that, going to have to make an eye for Matt Kingsbury. But right now, he is stuck behind that number 7 machine. Going to look low. Andy goes high and hits the number 75 machine of Landon Huffman. They keep going, but that puts Casey Pierce all the way up to 4th.
The longer Casey gets held up, the further away Blake Reynolds gets. So he needs to get at least one more caution, maybe, to have a shot at him. As Casey Pierce working on 3rd right now, right underneath Brett Pancari. He's going to get it. Matt Kingsbury grazes the wall through 3 and 4. They're 3 wide behind. Still no caution yet.
There it is. Oh, they're wrecking.
And there's the wreck. Big wreck on the front straightaway. I see a couple cars down there. A couple more getting involved. And that's going to be a multi-car
who's running backwards?
crash.
Dylan Wilson.
Dylan Wilson, a tough break for him. Dominic Corelli, Ethan Tingler, Talon Pelfrey is in it. And that's going to bring out caution number 11. And that is just the caution Casey Pierce needed. We'll get a replay here, but timely caution here. And like I said, Kevin, this thing is far from over.
Casey Pierce did what he needed to do. He's up to 2nd, but looking back, Lee Norton gets sideways, and this was actually behind the incident. I believe Dylan Wilson and Nathan Tingler were already around. Might have to look at the number 77 machine to see the catalyst for this. I believe caution number 11 tonight, maybe 12.
By my count, it's 11, I think. Again, unofficially, but I think this started right there. Yep, the 61 of Dominic Corelli. They were 3 wide off the corner, he and Josh Caudle, and there's just a little bit of contact. And poor Dylan Wilson, he had nowhere to go in that. He was having such a good run, and he gets caught up in that. But just going for the same real estate, and especially off of turn 4, we see it get really tight. Turn 4 kind of funnels a little bit here. It's really weird, but a lot of guys going for real estate that's just not there. But at the end of the race, you can't really blame them for clawing for every bit of track position they can. But nonetheless, just a little bit too close for comfort, and we're under caution again. And that's going to set up one of those trademark windshield deep dashes to the win here. But right now, Blake Reynolds and Casey Pierce are 2 of the fastest guys in the field. So going to be interesting to see which one of them gets the best. But this has been a very exciting race, I would say. I hope you guys are enjoying it as well. So we should be going green with about 5 laps to go.
Yeah, I believe Blake Reynolds having the advantage of dictating the restart will be your favorite with this going to green probably in the next few laps. But Casey Pierce he's sneaky fast at these short tracks. He often rivals the best of the best in this league on hot laps. He's often starts in the front. Obviously had to start in the back tonight, but Casey Pierce was gridded 3rd overall tonight, so he's got speed. The one thing that Blake Reynolds did not have tonight was the quick pace. He ran a 15.3 in qualifying. Casey ran a 15.2, and that might be the difference. If these guys get side by side, Casey might have the hot lap speed ahead of Blake Reynolds. We'll have to see if he gets there first, and that's going to be the hardest work of all, of being able to get that advantage that Blake Reynolds back on the restart with only a handful of laps left.
Casey Pierce, as you mentioned, is going to need to get a fantastic restart. We've seen the top line is the preferred line, especially on restarts, if they can kind of manage a good jump off the line to get that run off of turn 2. So Casey, it's going to be very crucial for him to get a good restart to put himself in that position. So let's go ahead and go over the running order very quickly before we come to the 1 to go signal. Blake Reynolds, as we mentioned, is your leader. Casey Pierce being shown in 2nd. Matt Kingsbury, a good run still from 23rd to 3rd on the charts right now. Brett Pancari, another good run. We were talking about him earlier, is currently in 4th. Defending champion Andy Trupiano sits in 6th. Landon Huffman currently sits in 7th. Last week's winner, Spencer Dickinson being shown in 7th. Ricky Harden is being shown in 8th. Grayson Ward 9th. And Josh Caudle will round out the top 10. So the field doubles up on the backstretch. 1 to go until green. Again, there's a couple of attempts at a green-white checkered should we need it. But right now, it's all Blake Reynolds and Casey Pierce. You see Casey pinching Blake Reynolds down very hard in 3 and 4. He needs to time this restart perfectly to have a chance to get up to the front here. Pace car ducks off. Pierce goes out a little bit, trying to get it a little bit of an edge. Reynolds is down and away, gets a good restart. Pierce will fall into 2nd. The 51 of Kingsbury looking to the inside, but Reynolds has the advantage. A big lead off of turn 2, a big
in the
wreck.
back. 23 of Matt Light is around. Big incident. Someone is upside down. That is the number 23 machine of Matt Light. Goes over and over 4 or 5 times as they exit turn 2. And that's going to bring up the green-white checkered. And massive accident sets up the first green-white checkered of tonight's event at Bristol here at the Sim Center 150. Going to get a replay here. But Matt Light, First off, let's get a replay here. Matt Light goes up and over multiple times. Looks like the 56 of Daryl McKee gets into him. They just collide again. Davey Davis throws him, and he flips over once, twice, and a 3rd time. Settles down on the apron here on the Bush Beans sponsor there. But Matt Light looks like he's okay, all things considered. But what a wild ride for the number 23 machine.
I mean, if you're going to go over, I guess the best thing you want to do is land on all 4s, and Matt Light manages to do that. But with this accident, it looks like if we look back here, it looks like the 56 of Daryl McKee just kind of sent him around there. So if I were the admins here, it should be obvious that the 56 is going to get an end of longest line penalty in this. But really, it was just those 2. There are a couple other guys that got a little bit of damage in that. I saw Davey Davis got a little bit of damage as well. Looks like Mason Maggio in the 64 got a little bit, but that's really all I see. So not a whole lot of cars involved. Good job of taking evasive action by everybody else behind. but Matt Light goes for one of the most wild rides we've seen. Had a wilder one last week at Nashville, so that one's going to be coming up second on the flip counter in terms of quality. But nonetheless, that'll bring out caution number 12 unofficially here tonight at Bristol. And as you mentioned, Kevin, that'll set up the first of 2 green-white checkered attempts.
Yeah, and I think that's going to give Casey Pierce a mulligan. He did not have a good restart on the last attempt. Tried to jump it a little bit, and Blake Reynolds knew that was coming, it looks like, telegraphed it a little bit, let him get the advantage, and then just did a quick burst out of turn 4 and gave him about a 3 or 4 car length lead, and almost gave Matt Kingsbury an opportunity for second. So he's going to have another opportunity here. But like I mentioned before, Blake Reynolds on that inside line does have the advantage of running the shorter route and having the ability to control this restart. And he's going to have to do it once. He might have to do it a second time, because we've seen how these cautions breed cautions. Looking through the order, it looks like everyone's pretty much on the same tires in the top 8 or so, minus Kingsbury and Pancari. So give credit to them for hanging on here in the top 5 on those older tires. Andy Trupiano on those older tires as well. But a quick note, there's a lot of guys who are on the outside looking into the top 10. Someone just blew up. That's unfortunate. It looks like the number 11 of Seth Harrelson and the number 305 of Davey Davis, both on newer tires, and they have a few guys ahead of them. Grayson Ward, Spencer Dickinson, both of those guys on new older tires, so might be able to get a top 10 out of this for those two. Gonna have to see how that plays out as the laps wind down here.
1 to go on the starter stand for these guys as they make their way through turns 1 and 2 at Bristol. So quick little rundown here of the top 10. Blake Reynolds leads, Casey Pierce second, Matt Kingsbury third, Brett Pancari fourth, Andy Trupiano is in fifth, Landon Huffman sixth, Ricky Harden a good run here in seventh, Spencer Dickinson eighth, Josh Caudle ninth, and Grayson Ward will round out the top 10. And as you mentioned, those two guys right on the edge. Seth Harrelson, Davey Davis right outside the top 10, but the action is up front. Here we go. Pace car about to duck off. First attempt at the green-white checkered. Pace car is off. Casey Pierce trying to time the restart. Blake is going. Green flag is out. Good jump for Blake. He's going to clear Casey Pierce right there to turn number 1. It looks like Kingsbury is going to challenge for second. He clears Pierce for now. Pierce has the run off the corner, and he clear enough. Casey Pierce puts him in the wall almost. Casey Pierce recovers, and they're wrecking in the back. Ricky Harden's around, and that's going to bring out a caution surely. And there it is, a big wreck in turns 3 and 4. Cameron Bolin upside down in the 67 on the front stretch, and that is not surprising at all here, as it looks like when we get the replay here, it looks like Ricky Harden
my mic was muted.
and Josh Caudle coming together in turns 3 and 4 to start this thing. But man, what a wild ride for everybody involved as we got the replay coming up. And you'll see the 15 of Ricky Harden was in it, Mason Maggio, but it looks like the 67 of Cameron Bolin gets the wildest ride out of all this.
A lot of contact. Graham just had nowhere to go. Gets hit a second time and gets up and over. Dylan Wilson sends him around, and he gets stuck on his lid. Flips it back over. I don't know if the banking kind of gave him an assist there. So allows Cameron to continue. Gets it back going. What a wild, massive incident. Probably the largest of the evening. And that's going to set up our final green-white checkered. And I'm not 100% sure how they're going to admin this. Davey Davis got around that. Awesome. That's great to see. But curious to see how they're going to admin this last restart. I know for the super late model events, they've adopted the point of no return rule, in which once the green flag is waved, they want this to end under green, with the last green-white checkered being controlled here. So I'm curious to see if they're going to let this go green. If there's a massive incident at such a short track, we'll have to see how it pans out.
Well, nonetheless, whatever happens, this has certainly been a very exciting race. Hope you guys are enjoying this as well. Wherever you may be watching here on the Facebook page, Twitch, YouTube, we thank you guys very much for hanging out with us tonight for the Sim Center 150 live here on Windshield Deep. So to go ahead and set the scene here for you, we got our second of 2 green-white checkers here to finish out this event. We should be coming to the 1 to go signal now. Blake Reynolds had that fantastic charge through the field a couple of cautions ago with those fresher tires. He restarted in, I believe, the 15th position and now drove his way up to the lead. So he's looking to fend off Matt Kingsbury. Casey Pierce is sitting in third. He has the next freshest tires to Blake Reynolds, and another one just blew up on pit road, I think, or on the racetrack, so they might have to delay the green. But Brett
That was Ricky
Pancari,
Martin, by the way.
oh, that's a tough break for Ricky. He was having they're giving Ricky a hard time on the radio. Landon Huffman screaming, "You hate to see it, Ricky." So they're giving him a little bit of a hard time there. But Casey Pierce, as we mentioned, is in third. Brett Pancari, another good run tonight, in fourth. Defending series champion Andy Trupiano sitting in fifth. Landon Huffman in sixth. Spencer Dickinson in seventh. Grayson Ward eighth. Davey Davis, a good recovery. He might get himself a top 10, but it should be Lance Ripka here finishing out the top 10 after Ricky Harden loses an engine under caution here. But Kevin, this is the final restart of the night, and it's going to be a big one. And Casey Pierce might have a benefit here. He gets to restart in third on the low side, so he can time the restart better than he did on the outside.
Well, we'll have to see, because I don't think Casey is shy to use that chrome horn, and with it being point of no return, he knows the caution's not going to come out. Gonna have to time this really well to get around Matt Kingsbury, but coming to the green, Blake Reynolds controls his destiny on those new tires. Pace car gonna dip off any second now. There it goes. Coming to the restart zone, and Blake Reynolds once again gets a great restart, but so does Casey Pierce. Gonna mirror the number 66 machine as they go into turn one. Casey and Blake both use that outside line, but Matt Kingsbury holds strong exiting turn two, and that's going to hold the number 18 down the bottom. They make contact as they go into turn three. Contact again between second and third, and that's going to give Blake Reynolds the opportunity to go. They're wrecking big in turn four.
White flag is out, though. The point of no return, a massive wreck on the front stretch. We stay green, though. Blake Reynolds takes the white flag. Casey Pierce second.
They're not rolling
Matt
yet.
Kingsbury third.
They're still there.
They're still on the front stretch. Blake Reynolds through 3 and 4, and Blake Reynolds is going to win the Sim Center 150 at Bristol. Casey Pierce finishes second. Matt Kingsbury third. Brett Pancari, Andy Trupiano, Landon Huffman, Grayson Ward, Spencer Dickinson, Davey Davis gets a top 10, and Drew Cox will round out the top 10. What a great drive for all these guys. An excellent race. But yes, we need to see that wreck.
Oh, no. Seth Harrelson was in it.
Oh,
He was going to get a top 10.
Seth Harrelson, I touched on it earlier on in the race. He just can't seem to get away from these wrecks. He's been involved in a couple tonight. But it looks like it happens just ahead of him. Talon Pelfrey looks like he got into the 54, and that just caused everything. And a big crash takes out a number of cars there. Let's see, Mason Maggio is in it. The 67 of Cameron Bolin, who was flipping in that last caution, was in it. But man, that is a tough break for these guys. And I don't envy Rish for the camera he's going to have to go through to see this wreck, but it definitely was one of the more violent ones we've seen.
3 wide as Rish still trying to get the replay up. I'm not sure if ATVO is giving him a hard time with this, but now you're fine. We got a long. This is a quick stream. We got some time here.
So I'm seeing when we see
we'll get a radio style description. Yeah, it looks like. Go ahead, Sean.
No, I was about to say, if we see here, watch the 17 of Oliver Cordell. They're 3 wide going into the corner, and it looks like a bit of netcode again just rears its ugly head. And I think Talon Pelfrey might have gotten disqualified in that wreck for reaching the incident limit. But just a tough break for these guys. So watch the 8 of Talon Pelfrey kind of get to the car ahead of the car below him, kind of washes up into Talon Pelfrey. That's the 17 of Cordell, and everybody just trying to get through it as Josh Caudle gets absolutely sent into the pits. There you see the 11 as well of Derek Nickel get involved. But nonetheless, Blake Reynolds still doing his burnout on the front stretch, takes home the checkered flag tonight. We'll go and take a quick break and have a chat with our winner when we get back. But Blake Reynolds, your winner here tonight. We'll be right back with a word from Blake. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back on Windshield D.
Yeah. Hey. I'ma get right in my bag. Why you gonna try to get mad? Everybody wanna keep up. Don't you know I move too fast? I'ma zip right past. Drip all on my swag. Why you trying to size me up? You don't wanna try your luck. Hot as a stove, what did you know? Burn like coal, yeah, you know I go. Way too hot, yeah, really too cold. I'ma keep going till I hit my goal. Better get back when I'm in my zone. Do it for the ones that I know back home. Did it myself, they ain't put me on. But you call back if you hear that song. Watch me.
Feel bad for Talon. I blinked out.
Oof.
All right, we are back here at Bristol. Blake Reynolds joining us, and as he was talking about his drive through the field as we were. Blake, take us through those couple of restarts. You got your fresh tires. You're mired back at about 15th or so. Tell us how you got to where you are today, because that was a heck of a drive through the field.
Well, when we did our mid-race interview, I was kind of pissed, and then I told you I was going to drive the tires off of it, that second set, and I did that. I drove all the way up, and then like half the field came for their last set, and I stayed out, and I used what was left of my tires, like almost all the good in them, and then I took my last set, and I don't know, like I went for gaps I didn't think existed, but I was able to do it, and that was like probably one of my better drives in WDRL.
Well, absolutely. It was definitely fun to watch here for us. But talk about those last couple of restarts. Casey was giving you a bit of a hard time. We saw him pinching you, trying to rub fenders on a couple of restarts. Time to restart right. So what was your strategy going into those restarts on trying to go as late as possible or catch him off guard? What was going through your mind to get as much distance between you and Casey as you could?
Well, me and Casey are good buddies, so I kind of know how he does things. So restart games don't really throw me off as long as I'm focused on what I was doing. I was just looking for the restart zone. The lines are nice and big and painted, so it's really hard to miss. Which is kind of weird to think that Michael Frisch lost a race here, not seeing those big lines.
Oh.
But anyway, that's besides. We love Michael P. We
all
love
the
Michael
wound.
P. in this house. We like Michael P. in this house. But yeah, I was on the prize on the restart zone. Got through my shifts really cleanly. Used what was, basically I was running Q laps those last couple of laps that were green. So that's pretty much what I did to pull away from Casey and get the dub.
Well, Abs put on a definite masterclass of getting through the field. So very well done, Blake. Got your first win of the season. So that's off the table now. We can focus on the rest of the year. So before we let you go, anyone to give a shout out, thank, or give credit for tonight's victory?
Sure thing. Everyone at WDRL, Landon, Dylan, RJ, whoever else is on the admin team now. That's just the three I know. I'll thank Windshield Deep for being on my car for this race. And for the eNASCAR side, I'll thank McLaren Shadow and all the guys there for picking me up. And our season will be starting in the next couple of weeks. So watch out for that. And I guess I'll shout out my Twitch channel. I'm live currently, twitch.tv/BlakeReynolds66. Give me a follow after this race if you want to catch some more races in the future.
Well, definitely looking forward to that. But Blake, heck of a drive, man. One of the best we've seen. Go celebrate, and congrats on the first win of the season.
All right, thank you.
Blake Reynolds, guys, going to his first win of the season. One of the more exciting races we've seen, Kevin. Definitely one of the ones we'll remember for a while. So we'll go ahead and wind this thing on down for this race. We'll go over the results really quick. As you can see on your screen, Blake Reynolds takes the checkered flag tonight. Casey Pierce finishing second, Matt Kingsbury third. Good run for Brett Punkari, started 28th, finishes fourth. Definitely our biggest mover of the race. Andy Trupiano gets a solid top five there. Landon Huffman stays in sixth. Grayson Ward seventh. Spencer Dickinson eighth. How about Davey Davis getting his first top 10 of the season in ninth? And Drew Cox will round out the top 10.
Not the showing you want to see if you're Dylan Wilson in 11th. Great race overall, but just didn't put it all together. His father, Eric Wilson, in 12th. Kevin Light in the number 25 and 13th. Number 14 position, Ethan Tingler. Seth Harrelson, despite being involved in that late incident, does get a top 15 finish, so good effort for him. Dominic Corelli, 16th. Mason Maggio, once again, tough break there in that last incident, in 17th. Lance Ripka in 18th. Cameron Bolin, upside down and over, finishes 19th. And Daryl McKee will round out your top 20. Last car on the lead lap.
First car lap down is Oliver Cordell. He will finish 21st. Talon Pelfrey comes home 22nd. Josh Caudle, 23rd. Ricky Harden, tough break for him, losing an engine under caution. He'll finish 24th. Matt Light went for a wild ride tonight, finishes 25th. Lee Norton will end up in 26th. Brian Smith will finish 27th. Jack Bailey, 28th. Max Price, 29th. And Jacob Hayes will round out the top 30. And going down the last few bits, Chris Davis got involved in a wreck early, was never really able to recover, finishes 31st. Dexter Knight Jr. will finish 32nd. Derek Nickel, 33rd. Cody DeMarmle's 34th. Josh Stark, after being ejected from the race, will finish 35th. And Mike Effner didn't make the grid tonight. He will finish last in 36th. So nonetheless, guys, a fantastic event tonight, a very exciting race. Hope you guys enjoyed everything here, but that'll conclude tonight's coverage of the Sim Center 150 tonight here on Windshield Deep. For Rich Kosa, Kevin McAdams, my name is Sean Butler here. Hope you have a great night. We will catch you here same time, same places next week for round number 3 of the Windshield Deep Racing League. So have a good night, everybody, and we'll see you next week.
5 flags next week. It'll be fun.